It's time for the Douglas Coleman Show. Mr. Smooth and Savvy is joined by guests from all walks of life, from the entertainment industry to authors to political and social commentators, the famous and not so famous, the controversial and the light and fluffy. We have it all. Now, here's Douglas Coleman.
Well, hello there. Heidi, howdy ho. Welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show. It's me, Douglas Coleman. How are you? Thank you for being here. Glad you could join us. Today is Authors Day. We've got two authors with very different subject matter. First one up is Laura Vorreyer, and her book is called The Pet Sitter's Tale. She's also a professional dog sitter, works in the Los Angeles area, and has had some notable celebrity clients, which she will talk about in the interview. She will be up first, followed by A.M. Pfeffer, and he is an author, and his book is called Of, By, and For the Hanged Man. The best way to describe it, I suppose, is truth by way of contradiction. Very good term. I happen to like that term a lot. Before we get to the interviews, we've got our complete radio promotional package personnel. And we are featuring, for the next few weeks, World 5. For more information on World 5, please go to our website, douglascolemanmusic.com, and click on the featured artist link, and you will find their bio and links to all their music and social media. Their track that we're going to be playing is called Be You, and that'll be up in just a second. After the interviews, we've got our weekly MusicSubmit.com playlist. This week, we've got a track by John Warden, and his track is called If You Did This All Again. So, lots to get to and very little time. Here is World 5 and Be You.
What's on your mind, weighing it down, heart pounding of the hellish kind, bonded faith and love seem to separate. I don't understand, I'm from the outside looking in times like these you need a friend. You will persevere, all that hold you back is fear. Be the one your soul shines through. Get yourself in gear, wipe away those needed tears. Be the one your soul shines through. Be you. And they pass off your plight, pretending not to notice as they fly their kites. You fill this wretched void with burning rain. Don't know what else to do. You just have thought of the ways you can get back what's been taken from you. And carrying that spite, you'll never be free. Get yourself in gear, wipe away those needed tears. Be the one your soul shines through. Create something new. That is what we're meant to do. Be the one your soul shines through. Be you.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, Laura Vorreyer. Hi, Laura. How are
Great. How are you?
you? Doing just fine. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Let's see. You are a professional dog sitter? Is that what we call you?
Well, dog walker, pet sitter.
Pet sitter. Okay. All right. You've got your own company called Your Dog's Best Friend. And according to your bio, you've been doing this for 15 years? Over 15 years, yeah? Wow.
That's right, yes.
So tell us how you got started with this.
Oh, Douglas, I got started accidentally. I came out to Los Angeles from Chicago to be a makeup artist, and that did not go too good for me. I wound up struggling, and to make ends meet, I was doing pretty much anything and everything I could to pay the rent. And I happened to be walking a dog for a gal who was working on a film set, and out of a trailer came the comedian Paula Poundstone. We struck up a small conversation. You know, I was trying not to be starstruck and not make eye contact. And she thought, well, I was so aloof. She said, "Hey, are you a professional dog walker?" And I said, yeah, I am now. And she wound up hiring me to walk her dog, Cal. And it just organically sort of snowballed into a full-time career.
Well, that's pretty amazing. So are you one of these people, like I've seen those films of people, especially more in New York, but where they have 6 dogs going out all at the same time? Do you do that?
No, you know, see, that is more of a New York thing because you can go into one building in New York and pick up 6 or 7 dogs, and that's going to make up, you know, half your day's work, taking all those dogs out and then getting them all back home. But I have a different model, and, you know, different people do different things, but what I do is the one-on-one private dog walks. So our walks are actually customized to the needs of the dogs. Now you think, well, how many needs do dogs have? But some dogs are puppies and they have need to be more active. Some dogs are older and they're not so active. And some dogs are in the midst of being trained. So they need to sit at stops and they need to respond to different commands. So we customize the walks, and they are pretty much private unless the household has, you know, 2 dogs or 3 dogs, and they can all go together. But typically we do one-on-one private dog walks.
Okay, because you're in Los Angeles, so I assume you got to have a car or a van or something. So
Oh, absolutely.
So
yeah.
you go to somebody's house who has gone on vacation, and you go in and take the dog out? Is that, or you just let them out? How does that work?
Well, it depends on what the client wants. So most people who go on vacation want you to sleep over with the dog. So that's an overnight stay. And then they'll usually want additionally 2 more visits. So if you sleep over, you're going to wake up there naturally and you'll let the dog out or take him for a walk and give him breakfast and get them settled in the house. And then you might leave and go walk and visit some other pets. And then you'd come back to that house typically for a midday visit and then leave again. And then one more time you'd come by at night, swing by for dinner, and maybe you've arranged to stay over or come back again in the morning. So it really is customized to the needs of the pet and the needs of the family that has the dog, and, you know, what they want and what the dog is most comfortable with.
So how busy are you?
I'm pretty busy, especially since a couple years ago I started opening up my home to do private in-house dog boarding, and that is booked pretty much consistently holiday to holiday all year round because people are traveling for spring break, they're going overseas for the summer, you know, they're getting their kids into university in the fall, and then they're traveling again for the holidays. So I only take about 6 dogs, usually small dogs, in my home. I don't have a big, you know, commercial facility, even though I have considered it. So pretty busy between the in-home boarding and the going over to do sleepovers and all the walking and, you know, all the ancillary stuff that we offer, visits to the vet and visits to the groomer and, you know, all those things. It's pretty busy. I'd say it's around-the-clock full-time job.
Well, now, I'm a dog lover as well. I have 2 dogs. In fact, they're both right here in the studio with me. One of them is my footrest. I don't know why he likes to get under the desk and fall asleep as soon as I start talking, as I just put my feet on him. And he's great, you know, nice fuzzy. I just take my shoes off. I'm barefoot and, you know, I got this nice fuzzy pillow on me. He's a big German Shepherd, 115 pounds. And then I've got a small one who's a mix. He's half poodle, half Shih Tzu. And every time I take him out, nobody knows what kind of dog he is because he doesn't look like either one. People always come up, what kind of dog is that? And I get some new breed of dog. But he's asleep in my lounge chair. So they're good. They're good studio company in here. And I love the message on your bio that says, it's perfectly acceptable to love a dog more than you love people. I got a kick out of that because one of my favorite sayings was Mark Twain, who said just about the same thing. The more I get to know people, the more I love my dog. And I have to agree. People can be such a pain in the ass. Not all people. I love a lot of people, but dogs just don't have...
Now you got to walk it back.
Yeah. Dogs just don't have that same disposition. You know, they don't care. You know, you can take them where you want to go. As long as you're with them and you take care of them and you feed them, they'll love you unconditionally forever.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
People won't do that necessarily.
You're so right. You know, I love my dog so much, and he's my canine soulmate, and he gets me. You know, he knows, oh, you know, we're going on a walk, or, oh, we're going to go on a car ride, or, oh, my mom doesn't feel good, or, oh, it's time for dinner. And it just catch him sometimes when I'm talking or writing emails or whatever. I'll just catch him, and I'll see him, and he'll just be staring at me lovingly. And I thought, wow, you know, that's true love. I mean, you really can feel from your pets that they love you unconditionally, and so truly. It really is heartwarming. They are a gift. Some people say, I know, well, we don't deserve dogs, but I'm so thankful that they're here.
You know, the part that I love is I've had both of these since they were puppies, and it's so fun to watch them learn as they grow up, because they pick up on your routine. And honestly, they pick up on your routine more than I know my routine. And sometimes they are absolutely amazing. Like the big dog, the German Shepherd, if I go to grab my glasses, he knows I'm getting in the car because I have to have glasses to drive. I grab the glasses, he goes crazy. He goes to his cubby hole and will grab the harness that we put on him. He will grab it in his mouth and come over. All I got to do is grab my glasses. Now, I didn't teach him to do that. He just learned that all by himself. He figured it out. And I thought, wow. Because I think a lot of people don't, especially like non-doggy people, they don't really have this perception of dogs being anything but an animal. And they're just so much more. They really have a keen sense of environment and what you do. And if you do something strange, they react. You do something out of your normal routine, they react to it. They're very sensitive. Have you found that to be true? Yeah.
And yes, try walking backwards in front of your dog and see what kind of faces they make.
I haven't tried that one yet. I might.
Sometimes. And he gives me this crazy look like, why are you walking backwards? I've never seen you do that before. What's that?
So do you want to do any name dropping? You want to, you mentioned Paula Poundstone. Yeah.
I'm not a big name dropper, and I think that most people appreciate their privacy. So I'll name the big names. You know, I took care of Dr. Dre's dogs for a long time, and I don't think that he minds that whatsoever that I say that. You know, he was a real animal lover, and he loved his dogs, and he had a variety of dogs, you know, little dog, and then a big dog, and then a security dog, and him and his family were just really in love with all the dogs, and really so good to me. And they wanted their dogs to get exercise and not be out when it was too hot, and get good care and get groomed once a week. So he's a big one. I'd say Dr. Dre is the biggest. And you know, a lot of celebrities, they just love their pets just like we do. You know, they're not doing anything too much more extravagant than we are, except for, you know, those limo rides and private jets, of course.
Well, true. And I can see why celebrities would particularly go for dogs, because again, it's like what we were talking about. They're not going to hound them for autographs. They're not going to be starstruck. And most celebrities, particularly movie stars or musicians, people that are in the public eye, once they finish what they do, as much as they love doing it, they want to switch off and just be a normal person and go home and not be bothered. And sometimes that's difficult when you're a big celebrity where you can't go anywhere without drawing a crowd. But you don't have that issue with your dog. You come home, the dog's happy to see you, you put food in their bowl, and then they come and sit with you and just, I can see why that would be such a comfort for people that are particularly people in the limelight.
Absolutely. I agree with you because there's no expectation. You can let your hair down, you can let your guard down, you can just be yourself and relax in front of your pets. There's no pretense of being, a star. There's just you, and you're the person that they love and adore, and it's great. They see you when you're at your best, they see you when you're at your worst, and, you're so right about dogs figuring it out and getting it. So many of my clients get hung up on their dogs being trained and, doing certain things and acting certain ways. And I always tell them, don't stress. If you're consistent, they're going to get it. If your dog is smart, and let's face it, most dogs have some good amount of intelligence. I mean, I've only met maybe 5% or 10% of dogs that I've met. They're just too goofy, or they're not interested, or they're too food motivated to really consider anything but themselves. But most dogs, the majority of dogs, are really interested in what their human counterparts are doing because they want to please you and they want to anticipate your needs and what you're going to do so they can do it with you.
Exactly. And I have done very little training with these dogs. Both of them had to be housebroken, and when they were puppies, they'd go in the house. But at a certain point, they just started to hold it and would wait until I let them out in the yard, and then they'd go. And after that point, it just stopped. I would wake up in the morning expecting to have to clean a pile or a puddle, and nothing. And all of a sudden, then they're like jumping at the door and they want to get out. Open it up, they go out into the grass, do their stuff, came back. And both of them did the same thing. I think the one taught the other one because they're 4 years apart in age. I really think that the older one taught the young one, no, you got to hold it, wait till he opens the door, then they can go out and do it. I really believe that.
Oh, I believe it. Oh, dogs are the best trainers of other dogs. Absolutely. And when you get in a group setting with, a professional dog trainer, they typically will have that one lead dog that they use as a teacher to the other dogs. And they'll say, okay, watch this dog. He's going to do it. And he'll show the other dogs what to do because it's no better teacher than, watching somebody do it and then doing it yourself. So absolutely, your dog has definitely taught the other dog what to do.
Have you met, I can't remember his last name now, Caesar?
Caesar Milan?
Caesar Milan.
Many moons ago when he had first gotten his start and I was first getting my start around the same time, we walked together and I had a couple dogs on leash and he had his dogs throw off the leash. And I said, aren't you worried about your dogs getting away? Aren't you worried about them running off, coming back? He said, oh no, they follow me. I'm the leader. And I'll just never forget the gift. I mean, just the natural born gift that he had to be the leader to these dogs, the pack leader. And they were like bees in a hive to him. I wouldn't let my dogs off the leash because they would scatter all over the four corners of the earth. I know it, or I would never see them again. I just didn't have that command. But he did, and it wasn't anything he said, but it was that energy that he had where the dogs wanted to stay by his side and they listened to him and they intuited what he wanted. It was amazing. And we walked a couple times together and then he, went on his path and I went on mine, but I knew he had a gift and a talent. And I'm really glad that he was able to get that out into the world because truly a gifted trainer, gifted.
So he started out as a dog walker as well? See, I don't know his history.
He was doing dog walking and dog training, and
Wow.
It was just natural for him. He wasn't doing it as a profession. He was just doing it to help people. And then people said, "Oh my gosh, you're so good at this. Let me give you some money." And then it just, took off. but he was just naturally very good, always since he was a young child with dogs. He just has a gift. He has the mind meld with them, and that's a gift.
Well, I agree. I've watched his show. I really like his show. I completely enjoy it. And I like how he, like you said, he just turns himself into the alpha dog in the pack. And he has the ability. You've seen his show where these people had this dog that was just bouncing off the walls, absolutely a crazy dog, biting everybody. And Caesar comes in the house, and within 10 minutes, the dog is like laying there, legs up, waiting for his belly to be scratched. It was amazing. And, and I think he amazes the owners. But that's the thing I found.
He amazes the owner.
Yeah. That's the thing I found interesting about that show, was that what he seems to, or tends to point out, is that it's not the dog's fault. It's the owners. It's always the owners doing something wrong. And the dog is only reacting as a dog would do.
So often it's true, yes.
I think that some people probably just are not suitable to have dogs because they just don't understand.
Well, I think you're right, and I think it has a lot to do with your energy as an owner and as a person, because the dogs are picking up on that nonverbal communication of your energy. You can be speaking calmly to your dog, but if you're manic, really energetically, your dog is picking up on what you're sending out with that vibration. So even though Caesar has, that calm, that alpha presence, when he leaves, that dog is going back to its prior behavior because the people don't have that same inner calm. And so that's a lot of what he tries to teach, is that you need to internalize the energy that you want to throw out to your dog. It's like when you're walking your dog on the leash and he sees another dog and he's going to be, trying to pull or get leash aggression or go towards that other dog. You want to have that energy and just visualize it going through your arm into that lead, into your dog, that, we're going to stay calm, you're going to stay by my side, and we're going to ignore that dog and keep walking and keep moving, and don't give any of your attention to that dog that your dog is going to go crazy about, because that's going to give them the cue, go crazy for that dog. Mom's looking at it, dad's looking at it, my human is fixated on it, now I'm going to go crazy on it. So, you've got to have that energy, and it's difficult. We've got a lot of different focuses in our lives. We focuses on our phones and our laptops and people, and there's so much to be, called in so many different directions, that you really need to focus your energy on your dog so your dog can get it. It's just a matter of getting in tune with them and giving them that calm, focused alpha energy.
Absolutely, I agree. And the dog is primarily just focused on you. They don't have all of the distractions. I think, with the exception of birds, my dogs are pretty much, or squirrel or something like that. If a squirrel comes in the yard, then that's it. I'm gone. They're off with the squirrel. But like you said, they don't care about the phone. They don't care if the TV's on. They don't care. Their focus is primarily on you. So, right, if you're distracted, the dog is going to be confused. I think the energy that the dog is picking up. Let me ask you about training. You do dog training, yeah? I
do basic obedience dog training, and so I used to do that, but again, to your earlier point about the owners, it was just so hard to get the consistency from the owners to work with the hand gestures and say the words or give the treat or clicker train, to do it the way I was doing that. I have a couple people who have been through training certification who work with me, and I let them do the training. I find the training part to be the most frustrating because, again, if you don't get the owners to be consistent, then the dog won't get trained, or the dog is only trained to when you're there. So I think the basic obedience training, and that's something we do offer, but I don't really sell myself as a trainer, Douglas. There's a lot of wonderful trainers out there, gosh, Caesar being one, and they're really, turning the lives around of these dogs who maybe won't get adopted, or they stay in shelters because maybe they had food aggression or they were aggressive towards certain breeds. So Training, yes, basic obedience, but anything beyond that, no, that's not really where my professional, expertise lies.
Okay. You brought up something there that I wanted to touch on. Various breeds of dogs. Are there any issues with you can't mix this breed with this breed? Because my two are about as opposite as you can be. Like I said, the German Shepherd is a pure breed, 115 pounds. He's massive. The other one is about 15 pounds, maybe. Looks completely different. He likes to go underneath the German Shepherd when he's standing, right between the legs. And they just play. And now the little one is the older one. The German Shepherd is just 2 years old, so he's just kind of coming out of his puppy stage. But what I notice is that the little one is the alpha because he's older. And they don't seem to have any issues about, I'm 10 times your weight and size. The German Shepherd will always bow to the small one. And I'm making a comparison here because they're so different, yet they stay within the sort of parameters of the pecking order. Where people, unfortunately, is open and as liberal as we've tried to be in the United States. I'm not going politics, but people still do judge people based on their appearance or their ethnicity or their gender or whatever. There's still issues with that in our society. I don't see that with dogs. Do you have any story or any comment about, this breed doesn't get along with that breed? Or is a dog a dog a dog?
Well, a dog is a dog is a dog, and they are shaped very much by their early experiences. And, there's no continuity across breeds where you might say, this is a bully breed and he's aggressive, he's a bad dog. So it just really depends on each individual dog, much like it does each individual person. You can't really classify any one group or gender or sex or anybody by their anything but their own deeds and their own words and their own, what they do. So, there's no bad breeds. Sure, you might get an aggressive dog who doesn't seem to like certain people or doesn't seem to like certain other dogs. But most of the time it's, a one-off because I rarely see dogs that are just untrainable or aggressive or really just bad dogs. I mean, most dogs are happy-go-lucky, and that's the category that they fall into. I'd say maybe 70 or 80% of dogs are just happy-go-lucky dogs, just like your two dogs. They're happy-go-lucky. They love you. They want to please you. They are smart. They're trained. They're housebroken. They're good dogs, and most dogs are like that. There is a small percentage of dogs. Maybe they were bred from when they were puppies to be aggressive or fight, or maybe they were abused, and that's the worst case because, dogs that are abused when they're young, they get fear aggression and they become aggressive. So it really is based on every individual dog should be judged on its own behavior. And just like people, absolutely, I don't think there's any bad breeds. It's just unfortunate that you get these dogs, they have these, horrible experiences when they're young, and that's imprinted in their memory.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I guess the same argument could be said for people as well. Children that are abused come from abused homes, and they grow up having all kinds of problems sometimes.
It's cyclical, it's a cycle. And that's a pattern that has to be broken, not just with pets, but with the people. Absolutely. It's a cycle. And, if you can break it when the dog is younger and reteach those behaviors, then you're going to have a good dog. I was working with a shelter that wanted to get more dogs adopted, and they said, a lot of times these dogs are failing the food aggression test, and so we can't adopt them out, which means they put a bowl of food in front of them and they scarf it down and they growl when other dogs or people come around because, they want to hide that resource. And that's because a lot of these dogs came off the street and they were starving. Yeah. They didn't know when their next food would come from. So it wasn't really fair to assess them on food aggression when reality is, my dog was like that in the beginning too. He would gobble down every meal that you put in front of him and he would just inhale it. But now I've had it for so long, he's a little more picky about his food. He knows there's more. It's not going to run out. He doesn't have to hunt. He knows he's going to eat and get treats, so he's a little bougie. He doesn't like something, I'll leave it on the floor. Maybe I'll get back to it, maybe not, He doesn't like carrots. I know lots of my clients are like, oh, give him carrots. They love carrots. My dog, he wouldn't eat anything healthy if his life depended on it. Carrots, apples, no way, no thanks. I don't like those things. They're too healthy.
I can't get my dogs to eat anything but meat. That's it. They eat meat and dry food. They just won't, they'll look at an apple and just actually the German Shepherd will take an apple piece and go like all the way across the room, get up on I have a sofa that's just for them, and he'll get up on the sofa and he'll spit it out and drop it to the floor and then look at me like he's making a statement, He's like, I'm a dog. I don't eat apples, It's funny.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's funny. My dog loves cold cuts. Anything that is in the refrigerator has the potential to be a cold cut, especially if it's in a wrapper. So he could be sleeping on his bed on the other side of the house, and if he hears a wrapper, he's instantly awake and running into the kitchen just to see, is it a cold cut? Nope. Oh, not a cold cut. Okay, go back.
Oh, yeah. They learn all the sounds. Exactly. Absolutely
all
true.
The sounds, right.
Yeah. We got to kind of move it along. We're running quickly out of time here. So tell us a little about your book. The book's called The Pet Sitter's Tale.
The book is called The Pet Sitter's Tale, and it's out on audio right now, and I know a lot of people do like to listen to audiobooks, so it's doing the ranks as an audiobook. If you like that, you can put on your headphones and listen to that while you're walking your dog. And, it's a collection of short stories based on my career here in Los Angeles of walking dogs and being a pet sitter. And it's a little bit of everything. So there's some funny stories. Of course, there's a couple sad stories. But it's mostly an uplifting book about pet ownership and, the crazy things that people do when we're in love with our pets. And a little bit about starting a business and being an entrepreneur and what that's all about.
Well, super. Okay. And you said it's available on Amazon. Do you have a website that you want to give out?
Sure, yes. It's The Pet Sitter's Tale, and that's tale, TALE.com. And people can check out the website or hit me up on Twitter. I'm kind of talky on Twitter, and I know a lot of my people that I'm friends with on Twitter will send me pictures of their pets, and I love that, and I will retweet them. And I love seeing the pictures of the doggies, so you can send those along.
Well, super. Well, Laura, we got to wrap this up. Thank you so much for coming on. It was really nice talking to a fellow dog lover. We could talk about our dogs forever, yeah? Best of luck with the book. I hope it does well. Best of luck with the book. I hope it does very well. And thank you so much for coming on the show. Thanks,
Douglas. It was great to talk to you. I love talking to fellow dog lovers as well. And make sure you give your doggies some meat treats for me.
Will do.
You're listening to Mr. Smooth and Savvy right here on the Douglas Coleman Show. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Tired of living in a culture of lies, fake news, and alternative facts? The Pro-Truth Pledge reverses the tide of lies by calling on politicians, and everyone else, to commit to truth-oriented behaviors. The pledge asks signees to commit to 12 behaviors that research in behavioral science shows lead to truthfulness, such as clarifying one's opinions and the facts, citing one's sources, and celebrating people who update their beliefs toward the truth. Private citizens who sign the pledge get the benefit of contributing to a more truth-oriented society. Public figures get more substantive rewards for signing the pledge in the form of positive media and public recognition. The pledge crowdsources the truth by asking volunteers to evaluate the statements of public figures who sign the pledge. Take the pledge, demand that your elected representatives do so, and encourage your friends to take it at protruthpledge.org.
Okay, please welcome to the Douglas Coleman Show, A.M. Pfeffer. Hi, A.M., how are you?
Well, Douglas, how are you? Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. We wanted to say that your introduction email to us was the template for how people should submit to a radio station. We were very impressed with that. And it was probably why we booked you, but we also liked your story. But we saw that and we said, you know what, we should use this template and show everybody how to submit, because that's how you write it. So well done for that. And
Thank you very much. I would be remiss if I didn't give my wife all the credit with her PR background, and she certainly knew
okay.
what template to use.
All right. Because we get some unbelievable stuff like, I'd love to be on your show. And that's it. You know, no links and no description, we get all kinds of stuff. But
Exclamation point, yeah.
Yeah, but that one really impressed us. So well
Thank
done. Well done to your wife. So why don't you just tell us a little about yourself? And I know you got a book out called Of, By, and For the Hanged Man, which sounds like an interesting title. But before we get to your book, just tell us a little about your background and who you are and what you do and all that. Then we'll talk about your book.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I grew up in Westchester County, New York for 15 years, which is a little suburb above New York City. After my freshman year of high school, my father moved us out to Denver, Colorado. I finished high school there. I then went on to get a degree at the Indiana University School of Business. And then I've been in Los Angeles going on nearly 20 years now. And the first decade here was spent in the entertainment industry, working at some pretty high-end profile places like Creative Artists Agency, the Walt Disney Company, Zyde Perry Entertainment, which did the American Pie movies and the Final Destination movies. And in the past decade, I made a switch over into the other sexy LA industry, which is real estate. And I've been a real estate investor and hard money and private money broker for the past 10 years.
Wow, that's interesting. What did you do exactly in the entertainment industry?
So the first couple of jobs I worked, Creative Artists Agency, you may well know, is the largest talent agency besides now William Morris Endeavor. I was 21 years old at that time, so I was an assistant working for a television packaging agent who covered Fox Studios. And he had some big high-profile clients as well, some big-name talent, including Jim Rome, just to pick a radio personality. Interesting guy for sure. And, at the time, I also wanted to be a producer. I wanted to be a writer, so I was writing with my writing partner. And we made some pretty good headway over the years, which culminated into sort of being hired to write Fantastic Four Part 2 for Fox Studios, if you could believe that. But we did not ultimately win the job. And then I said enough of this and at some point moved on over into real estate, but still love Los Angeles, so wanted to stay here.
Well, you mentioned American Pie and Final Destination. I mean, I've certainly
all
seen
the Final Destination movies, yes.
Certainly seen those. That was a good series. Although
they're bringing it back. You should get excited. It's coming back.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, they're trying to, for sure.
Well, it was funny because American Pie, like the first three were the original cast, and then the next three, I think, were spin-offs, basically. And then they brought them back at the end for a reunion, which was good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think with that one, I think the first one was definitely the best one.
Absolutely. I mean, that was the Weitz brothers directing an incredible script. Great movie.
So what were you doing in relation to that?
I was there when I think we were shooting the third one, but at the company, understand that I was a development exec, so my job was to bring in more material, find more scripts, articles, stories, ideas that we can otherwise turn into movies. I mean, the slate at that production company we had was, I think, 200 deep of movies we were trying to make. And at the time, we had an overall deal with MGM Studios, when that was still in existence. So really what that meant is that if we found anything, we would bring it to them first. And if they passed on it, we could then bring it to every other studio. One of the heads of our company at the time was also trying to create a mini major studio, which didn't pan out. And then when the deal with MGM lapsed, the two partners of the company split and went ways, and the company folded, unfortunately. But it was an exciting time to be there for sure, because it was happening at a time of Final Destination, Cats and Dogs, if you remember that movie, which is at Warner Brothers, was made. And that was also done through Zyde Perry. But yeah, the American Pie train kept rolling on. It was taken over, by other guys, but the same producers were on all the movies all the way through.
And the only one that I could see that was in all the movies was Eugene Levy.
Yeah, yeah. Which is interesting, but it's common you see in Hollywood where you need the older actor or actress to anchor the movie, and some of the younger casts are often interchangeable, which
Well,
you would think would be
yeah.
the opposite. But
Well, it's true because I think at that time, the one who played Eugene Levy's son,
Jason Biggs.
Jason Biggs. Okay, I think at the time he wasn't that well known, right? At the first
Oh
movie,
no, absolutely not. Yeah, no,
yeah,
he only got big off the first movie.
right. Because I know he went on to do that movie with Woody Allen, which was hysterical.
That was a very good movie.
Yeah, but Eugene Levy was pretty well known at that point. He had done a bunch of stuff. He's one of my favorites because I was a big fan of SCTV back in the day when it was on, and all those people were just so good from that. John Candy and Catherine O'Hara, all of them came from SCTV.
Let's call it like it is. The Canadians are often much funnier than the Americans.
Well, I won't argue with you, but they certainly had an incredible cast for that
amazing.
show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. On your bio, it says that you did a 2-year stint at the Sunset Marquis Hotel. What did you do there?
Oh, yes. I was a bartender from 2008 to 2010. So, as mentioned, my first, call it 8 or 9 years in Los Angeles was spent, trying to stay afloat in Hollywood or even break through, obviously. And when that did not go well, part of the other side was learning the business of real estate. I started in subprime lending during that time and tried to be a real estate investor. Cut to many a mistake later and one massive financial crisis hitting at the end of 2007 into 2008. And yeah, I was destitute. So luckily enough, I knew somebody who was a night manager at the Sunset Marquis, and they got me a job as a bartender right when they did their massive expansion. I don't know if you've been to the Sunset Marquis or know much about the hotel.
No, I haven't. Tell us about the hotel.
Oh, the hotel is incredible. I mean, it started in 1961 when George Rosenthal, who was a big developer in Los Angeles, he cold-called Hugh Hefner and had an idea to bring Hefner out from Chicago to, open a Playboy club and house all the people and the staff and entertainment there at the hotel. And that worked for a little while, but the hotel long outlasted the club. And then what ended up happening was all the musicians who would come play for the Playboy Club would stay at the hotel, and then the lore grew, and it just became this incredible music hotel and has been that way ever since. So, I mean, you're going on quite a long time of musicians coming through there, and it's still like that today.
I'm sure I have heard of it and probably have heard stories from it, but it's just not ringing a bell in the old gray matter at the moment. I will look it up because it does sound like something I'd be interested in reading.
Oh, even better is what's below the hotel, where right around the corner from where they do the laundry is Nightbird Studios. And that's been going on for 25 years there. That was started by Jed Lieber when he was jamming out with Jeff Beck in one of the rooms, and there were noise complaints. And the GM of the hotel was like, well, why don't you guys go down to the laundry room? And they're like, better idea. Why don't we build our own studio down there? And, I mean, look up how many Grammys have come out of that studio. It's impressive.
Okay, now where is it? I assume it's on Sunset Boulevard?
It is. It's just below Sunset Boulevard on Alta Loma.
Okay.
So it's just west of La Cienega, which is probably one of the main cross streets of Sunset Boulevard and La Cienega. Gorgeous hotel, absolutely beautiful oasis you would not expect to find in the middle of West Hollywood right there.
So how does it compare to the Roosevelt?
The Roosevelt's nice, and they did a nice job, but I mean, that's that's like a big pool party, or they have like these big cavernous parties in their entertainment rooms there. I mean, the Sunset Marquis has private villas, and one of the coolest bars, the old whiskey bar, is up front. It's called Bar 1200 now, but not to be confused with the Whiskey A Go-Go, but the whiskey bar in the front of the hotel is very well known throughout the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s.
So when you were working there, did you meet anybody famous?
But like only every 5 minutes.
Who was the most memorable then?
There are so many people that stick out to me. I'm going to go with David Coverdale of Deep Purple and Whitesnake fame. You're talking about one of the most amazing personalities I've ever come across. He was beyond brilliant in what he can remember and what he can recall, what he talked about. I mean, he would often sit for hours with a glass of wine and just wax nostalgic or just talk about the cosmos. It kind of blew me away.
Funny you mentioned him, because last night I just watched an interview with John Lord, and he was being interviewed by Rick Wakeman of Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a great show. I don't know. I'm having trouble finding. This was something that just kind of popped up on YouTube, but I'm having trouble finding the whole series because it was such a good interview. So it's just funny you mentioned Deep Purple, because I just got John Lord in my head.
Call it kismet.
Yeah, yeah.
The absolute best person who came through, though, for me was Ronnie Wood. Undoubtedly.
Okay.
He walked by the bar on the way back to his room one day and kind of passed by and then realized, oh, I just walked by a bar. And in only the way Ronnie Wood could, came back and ordered a shot of tequila. And of course, I'm so nervous, I must have poured him 5 fingers worth. And he just kind of looked at me, but he took it.
I'm sure he took it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He tried to tell me his room. I said, no, thanks. This one's on the house, Mr. Wood.
Yeah, I've seen some of the characters that they do of him, always with a martini in one hand and a cigarette in the other hand. Was he true to that pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, I will say I didn't see him much outside of that. You know, very private individuals, of course, when you get to that level of fame. So I didn't spend too much time with him or see him outside of that. But I do remember that one time he came through. You know, again, every day it was another actor, actress, and certainly a number of musicians. Probably anybody you could think of.
Yeah. Well, that might be a topic for your next book, huh?
It's possible. I mean, I do talk about it a little bit in this book. However, I'm sure in a dusty, garage somewhere is my signature on a piece of paper that says you can't talk too much about your time at the Sunset Marquee when I signed my employee agreement. So.
Oh, well, that's possible. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the book that you do have out, Of, By, and For the Hanged Man. Interesting title. What is the book about?
Yeah, the book is ultimately about learning how to thrive in spite of this age of information we're all living through. And to find that inner peace it takes to thrive, we turn to the hanged man as our guide, because the hanged man is a beacon of truth. And I think we need to be seeking out truth now more than ever. And the original hanged man was this incredibly interesting figure that represents truth in a way that most people are not familiar with.
Go ahead, tell us about the original hanged man.
The portrayal of the hangman originated from the Norse god Odin, who was this captivating literary figure who was always in search of truth. And the most popular story about him is that he suspended himself upside down on a quest for knowledge. The prophecy later became known as the hangman, and the hangman now represents truth by way of contradiction. So I wrote this, what I think is a very fun and compelling book, intending to prove that this contradictory perspective that's what humanity needs most moving forward into the 21st century.
Truth by way of contradiction. Now that's an interesting phrase. I think that pretty much represents most of the news media outlets today.
I couldn't agree more. And that's what we all are feeling, right? This terrible discord, this terrible divisiveness between all of us. And why don't we harness it? And that's what I wrote the book for.
I'm not exactly sure how old you are, but I'm going to guess I'm a little older than you. And I remember when the internet first came, and I got my first computer around about 1996, somewhere in there. And I thought, you know what? This is going to unite the world. This is going to be as grand as the telephone, and even better. Now we can all talk to each other. We can all look at each other. And it's going to unite the world. And I'm disappointed because I think it's done almost the opposite in certain respects. I think it's tribalized people now. And everybody sort of goes to their little groups. You know, like they'll go on, when they look for news, for example, they go to the one that shares their opinion. And unfortunately, the news agencies have kowtowed to that mentality. You know, Walter Cronkite is no longer with us, unfortunately.
Unfortunately not.
You know,
I couldn't agree more.
So you've got Fox News on the one side, you've got MSNBC and CNN on the other side, and they're just fighting each other. So it's very difficult to get an unbiased news report these days. And I thought that the internet was going to do just the opposite of what it has done. Because, now everybody's a reporter. Anybody with a Twitter and a phone, everybody's a broadcaster. And you see everything sort of instantly. But along with it, you're getting all of this commentary and opinions. And I don't know. I don't know why that's happened.
Yeah, and that has been the gripe amongst everybody, right? That's the weird contradiction. That's just one that we're talking about. This tribalism that we all fear, that we want to go where people parrot how we feel or what we say, but at the same time we get upset when they do because they're giving their opinion about it, or you have to hear the other side's opinion. But the reality is that's just the background noise, and that's why I wrote the book, because hang yourself upside down, find that different perspective, and recognize those contradictions. Everything else becomes a lot clearer, and optimism shines through.
So how long has the book been out now?
Only about 6 weeks.
And how's it doing?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. All right.
So far, so good. I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint, obviously. I'm laying a lot of infrastructure that I may not have otherwise had prior to the book coming out. But yeah, I expect by the summer and certainly by the end of the year, I hope it'll explode with people.
Do you have a website you want to give out?
Absolutely. My name, ampfeffer.com. Should I spell that?
Probably.
A like Apple, M like Michael, PFEFFER.com. And when you go there, you'll see the book. You can read all about it. It's on every major internet retailer, Amazon, iBooks, Barnes & Nobles, even Kobo, speaking of Canada.
Oh, okay.
So you can find it everywhere.
You stole all the Fs in your
I took all
name.
the Fs.
You took all the Fs, yeah. Greedy about those Fs.
No more Fs for anybody else.
No, I wanted you to spell it because the way it's pronounced, people are going to search you starting with F, and they won't find you probably. So.
Or they're going to put an I in there because of, they'll think I'm Michelle Pfeffer. But there is no I. PFEFFER. And thank you very much for letting me clarify.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for coming on the show. We do have to wrap this up. And best of luck with the book. It was nice chatting with you. I hope the book does very well. Do you have any other books in the works or anything else you're doing you want to mention?
Not that I can mention. Of course, I'm definitely working on a few more things. I hope to have a number of things come out in the next few years. But of course, I'm going to keep on writing. I'm going to keep working on this. And I guess the last thing that I want to say is I wrote the book to inspire critical thought. And I expect that it'll do that. So again, thank you very much for having me on. It was great speaking with you.
Well, I think that this culture in our society right now needs a lot more critical thought. So thank you for doing that. Definitely appreciate it.
And again, I appreciate you having me on.
You're listening to Mr. Smooth and Savvy right here on the Douglas Coleman Show. We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Are you an independent musician? How would you like to have your songs played on hundreds of radio stations just like the one you're listening to right now? Join MusicSubmit.com and we'll promote your music to radio stations and blogs in your genre. It's free to set up your account, and we guarantee your music will be considered for airplay by radio stations worldwide. Why not sign up today? It's free. MusicSubmit.com. Radio promotion for indie musicians.
The Douglas Coleman Show is now offering a complete radio promotional package for music artists. Your track will air 28 times a week for 1 month over all of our online and terrestrial platforms, as well as permanently archive on Spreaker, iTunes and many other sites. Your profile will also be featured in our featured music artists page on our website. With this package, you will also get a 15-minute interview on our show to promote your latest single, EP, LP, or upcoming gig. Similar packages like this can run hundreds of dollars and often are subscription-based. Our package has a one-time fee of just $49.99. Please go to douglascolemanmusic.com/CRPP. That's douglascolemanmusic.com/CRPP for complete details. Let's work together to get your music heard.
Well, that's about all the time we've got for the show today. I want to thank my special guests, Laura Vorreyer and A.M. Pfeffer. Also, thank you to World 5. And we will go out on If You Did This All Again by John Warden.
All again, what would you do? Would you live your life the same, knowing what you knew? Or would you play things differently? Roll the dice. You could do this all again. Just don't know from where the winds of fate will blow. If I were to do this all again, how would my life change? If I were to do this all again, would I still be who I am? If I saw your face somewhere, would I recognize? Would I turn and walk away? Someone else's life. All again, even if I could, knowing what I know right now, I'm not sure that I would. To give up all those sweet memories, all those special times, to never hold my child's hand into your eyes. I just don't know where the winds of fate will blow. If we could do this all again, if we could change